wife and I went to live in Florida, Boca Raton, and we lived there till about 2007 when she passed away from leukemia. And then my son said, well, it's either you stay here where you are, or if you come up north, you can see your grandchildren. So I decided I'll come up north, and that's my life.
So, one of the things I think is so extraordinary about you, Teddy, is first of all, you're so learned. You're so very learned in a very unassuming way. One of the smartest people I know. This man always has a book in his hands, and as you can see, has a mind that remembers everything. In his for your adult bar mitzvah, your son helped you create a book for your family. And you were nice enough to give me a biography, an autobiography really, and gave me a copy too. And in here you say such details to the exact amount you made per week in your jobs in those early years, which are extraordinary, really, that you supported a family this way, different times. But also your gentle, calm nature. And the life you just described isn't a gentle, kind life in many ways. Thank God you ended up with a gentle, kind life. But you worked very hard to get there. So how did you survive all this?
I don't know how I survived. It's just you had to do it, so that's it.
That's it.
I mean, if you ask me how I did it, I have no way of knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I know from reading your autobiography, you talk about times when you had surgeries and the pain was unbearable.
Yeah.
But even when you're describing what happened to you in Europe, you really, you say, well, the Catholic orphanage where I ended up, they took good care of me. You referred to people befriending you and taking good care of you and opening their hearts and lives and resources to you. And so faced with really ugliness, horrible ugliness in the world, you found these amazing glimmers of hope. When you look back at that, what do you think?
I thank God that I'm still alive. Okay.
Wow, that's quite a blessing.
Because if we had stayed in Austria, I don't think I would have been alive today, because society at that time did not accept handicapped people in general.
Mm-hmm. And that's what really is extraordinary about your life, to have two marks against you, to both be physically disabled and to be Jewish at a time where both were considered to be so inferior. Yeah. And to be able to survive that and to be taken in by people to care for you is really extraordinary. I'm going to open it up if anyone has any particular questions as we continue to dialogue with Mr. Halpern. Does anyone have any? Yeah, Jeff.
Did your grandmother and your parents shield you from what was happening when they took you places? Did they say, we're going to go visit somebody? Or were you totally aware of what was happening to Jews?
My father, and mostly my father, though I hate to say anything bad, but mostly my father tried to hide me. He didn't want the public to see me. Until I gotta say, for the whole lifetime that I knew my father, when it came to meet him with me, with other family, he didn't want to do it.
So,
he did not accept me at all. My mother was different, but not him.
So, especially with your disability,
Yeah.
your father was not comfortable with this.
Exactly.
And I know that that's one of the amazing things about Teddy is that he never speaks poorly of anyone, as you can see. He's very reticent to do that. But in those 8 years, I know you spent a lot of time in the hospital. In the hospital, did you see any anti-Semitism? anti-Semitism, or were you treated like anybody else?
I was treated like anybody else. And I think it was a Jewish hospital, so
Oh, it was a
maybe, maybe then. But as far, as my experience, I did not see too much of the anti-Semitism till maybe about 1938. But until then, there was no such experience.
Mm-hmm. And then was it very shocking to see such
Yeah.
dramatic changes?
Yeah, very true. When the Germans came in, that's when the anti-Semitism was dormant, okay? But when Hitler marched in, it rejuvenated them and it became open.
Yeah, so the anti-Semitism that was there became open
Open
again
again.
and stronger.
Exactly.
In your autobiography, you say that later you learned that your father, when the Nazis came in,
Yeah.
was forced to do very demeaning
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little?
When he was arrested at one time, before Hitler came in about 1936, he was arrested because the anti-Semitism started already then. And he was arrested for no reason at all. And my mother went every day to get him free. Finally, they freed him, but he had to do real menial work, like cleaning the streets on his hands and knees, and all picking up the garbage, little pieces of paper, all this. I mean, I never saw it, but my father told that to my son, and that's how I know about it. He told me about it.
Mm-hmm. And I know unraveling some of this is hard for families that experience these things. It's very challenging because of the pain involved and the shame. Yes, Sharon.
Could you please tell us a little bit more in detail about that journey between Vienna and Antwerp, and then also maybe a little bit more about your time with the underground in France? How did you get from
From
Vienna?
Vienna to Belgium, we got there by train. Okay, we were able to get I would presume that my grandmother got visas and they were able to go from one country to another. In Belgium, we lived, my grandmother didn't work, so all the money that she got was from my father sending money from here to there so that she would be able to pay for the rent of the apartment and plus living condition. Okay? But we sold, not we, my grandmother sold what was coming, talking maybe to the other neighbors or radio, I'm not sure how. So that's how she decided it was time to go from one place to another. We took a train from Antwerp. Where we stopped, I have no idea. Okay? And then we stopped and we started walking like everybody else was walking. And buying food from the farms that were around there. And they took a lot of advantage of because they asked for a liter of water, which was about 10 francs at that time. And 10 francs at that time was a lot of money.
So they overcharged.
They overcharged.
They overcharged on purpose when looking at people who were refugees.
Yeah.
Which of course, is so immoral, so unethical. Why do you think the French underground saw something that nobody else saw? Here, everybody else looked at you and totally underestimated